know beforehand.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, first, is it okay if we request for your entity relationship diagram and as well as screenshots of
Mm,
your website in general? If not screenshots, like a login for your current website so that we could have access and play with
mhm.
that. Um,
Yep.
those are two sort of like main requests. And then other than that, uh, no, those are the things on the top of my head. Sorry.
Okay, so let me go ahead and write those down. So you want to log in and the ARD diagram. We can give you both of those. Yep. So those are the only things that you're wondering about?
Oh, and actually in um your class list,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, your class listings, you have a little button that shows my class.
Okay.
I'm a little bit forgetful, so I kind of forgot what you mentioned about that in the actual presentation. But like, what is that supposed to like show us, or like what is that supposed to show the user?
It's a good
So
question.
it should show you the account, right? So an account had multiple contacts relating to that account. And there's one primary user on the account, which is one of the contacts. Uh, the My Class button should show you the primary account owner on top. That's the primary account space. After that, it should show all the contacts, including the primary account. And then on the right, the table, it should show the classes that each of those contacts belong to or are attending. So that's what the My Class button. During the demo, I didn't show you that, but yeah, sorry, but yeah, there's the code should fix now, so it should show it because during the demo I kind of hide away because that feature kind of went a little already with the with the experience. But other than that, yeah,
Yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah, that's why we were a little bit confused about that because for some reason we thought it was supposed to show your own classes, like if you were a user that logged into this and like registered for classes and stuff, you would just see your own stuff. But that makes also a lot of sense. Um, oh man, I had a question, but it slipped my mind. Okay, there, I'm done. Yeah. Oh
Okay.
no, yeah.
Yeah. Are you sure? Last chance. Okay.
Actually, wait.
All right.
Did you guys try deploying your new changes into a fresh org by any chance?
Yes. So it should all work.
You didn't
Mhm.
have any issues with the public events object?
So,
Okay.
well, the public events object actually, that was very new. Let us redeploy and troubleshoot that one, and then we'll get back to you. Actually,
Yeah. If not, I think I have a fix for it, but don't worry too much about it.
yeah.
Yeah, we were just wondering about that.
We can make sure that that's available for you too today. Like that, you
Mhm.
won't have to worry about them.
All right. So, talking about new features to implement. Um, the first one at the very top of our list is something that Steven was working on before he got sick. So this is something that we plan to have in from the start. It says an accounts page. So it's a way for customers to log in and see their account information and do things like manage their payments, add in payment options, and just in general manage their account details. So everything about the account should already be set up. They have charges on the account. They have payment options already set up as a part of the account, and then the contacts on the account are already set up. So this should just be a way for the users to interact with that functionality. Next up, we have our new ideas. So I'm just going to rattle off a bunch of ideas that we haven't thought too much about, but think could be interesting to see in the org. So the first thing is a summer camp registration. So right now there's no summer camp objects. There's no summer camp anything, no handling, but it would be interesting to see if there was some sort of way to handle in summer camp, get kids enrolled into summer camp, maybe add in some charges related to that summer camp, and have a page designated to registering for it and maybe some information about the summer camp, like times, dates, how many kids are expected to be in there, things that you'd be doing during the summer camp, any activities that take place.
So for the summer camp, would it be a one class being taught, or would it be multiple classes offered?
So that would be mostly up to you guys. I could think of a few ways where you could divide it. So you could divide it up into age group. That would probably be the most obvious way of dividing it up. And since it's an aquatic facility, you can also divide it up by swim level. So there is a object within the organization called a swim test completion. So it gives a list of all the kids that have completed a swim test. So you could mandate that all the kids on their first day of summer camp, they do a swim test, and then you can divide them into who's passed and who hasn't passed and kind of like buddy them up. So that's another way that you could organize it and structure it.
Jared's obviously going to be a good resource for that, but it also is sounding like if you were to research just kind of community pools and how like kids swim classes work, you know, that should be something that's relatively standard.
All right, then the next few things that we're going to talk about are more on the employee side. So our page right now is a community page. So these things could be either connected to an object. So you can have like these things just connected to the object page, and it wouldn't really need to be a site at all. But so chemical orders and equipment orders. So these would be things like lifeguard equipment with your rescue tubes, your hip packs, your breathing masks, your gloves, and other medical equipment. And then your chemical orders. So to maintain the pool chemistry, there are a number of chemicals that need to be in the facility for water treatment. So you could have orders of that. And then on top of that, you could also have equipment and stock for those chemicals and that equipment. So having some internal page to make an order for chemicals or or visually see the stock that we have in inventory. That'll be interesting. Another big thing for internal use is a chemical check log. So having a log of the chemical checks and what the results are from those checks and what maintenance was done during those times. And for that one, I can definitely, if you choose to make that one, I can give you kind of like a template of something that you'd want to see, all the certain markers that you'd want to have on a log like that. Then a way to view a child's progress within swim classes. So some sort of skills checklist. So make a list of skills. And again, I can give you skills for different levels, different things that they should be checking off at those levels. And this can be both internal and external. So obviously the instructors would like to know what skills that they've checked off for the kids, but the parents would also like to know what skills that their kids have checked off and how they're progressing through the class. Another thing is a staffing schedule. So having some sort of schedule system for the manager to post, you know, these are the lifeguards that are going to work in these days, and these are the hours that they're going to work, so that everyone has a freely available schedule. And of course, the members wouldn't have to see any of that. That would just be internal. And then the last thing that I could think of is, this is again more of a front-facing idea with swim league stats. So again, there's no currently in the organization anything to do with a swim league, but you could create that and then track some stats like when the meets are taking place, and you can pull this from public events. There's already a public event of a swim meet, so you could pull that from there. You could see who the top athletes are. You could see like good times, like maybe there's like a facility record, like beat the record. You know, you can see that stuff, and then also different events that are taking place during that meet, and which athletes are signed up for that meet.
Additionally, I know one of the requirements is that we satisfy Sales and Service Cloud implementation in some fashion. We were thinking probably the most effective way to do this would be web to lead, and the creation of a way that you're able to kind of display some of the cool things about the brand for a user or a viewer to then try and make it attractive so that they might be enticed to enter their information, receive something along the lines of an informational email template or redirect to our initial landing page. If you really wanted to get crazy, you could go ahead and try and implement some kind of promotional campaign, but that's obviously a little outside the box. Just really, if you didn't want to do the web to lead angle, but still wanted to get up to speed with a Service Cloud or a Sales Cloud, excuse me. But there's a limited capacity with this business model for like direct sales and marketing, and like no one's going to be calling around trying to get people to come to a pool. But there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with the Aquatic Center promotion. So we'd be curious to see what you thought of, and we could, of course, be a source of reference if you get stuck.
Another good thing is your main product here is your swim lessons. So trying to sell swim lessons, seeing what percentages of the contacts are enrolled in swim lessons, and trying to get those contacts that are not enrolled in swim lessons.
I think if we need to do a Service Cloud as well, and actually, this is maybe our fault for not talking about this with our group earlier, that's probably going to be an FAQ situation. I don't really see like a strong customer service component that happens external. And Jared, you might be able to speak to that more, but customer service in terms of case generation for an external user seems
typically
strange.
The cases are going to be incidents that users are involved in, which there is already an incident reporting system in place, but you can take some of that information and convert it into a case that then the external users can see, and incidents are already linked to specific contacts, so they're already related. But another thing that you could do is if there's some sort of maintenance that needs to take place, people can put in a case like, oh, I see that this thing is loose or not working the way that it should, and you can submit it like that. But generally things work at a pool, so there's not a whole lot of support that needs to go on.
Yeah, I think the clouds, from my understanding of what we're looking for, can be relatively minimal.
Mhm.
But it looks like in the P2 requirements, that's just something that we have to have, was helping the client. So like, we're not really trying to load stuff onto you here. It's more just like, how can we help you brainstorm, like what what might be effective for this org. And I think should kind of cover it.
Go ahead.
I'm sure we intend to be pretty friendly regarding concerns or anything that you got. You know what I mean? Like so don't. This isn't like a hostile client situation that you have to salvage the relationship. Like we're all trying to get through this together. So if you have questions, reach out.
Me particularly, I'm very excited to see what you guys come up with and see what you what ideas you have, and if you could think of something that I didn't have in that list, I would be even more excited. So I definitely encourage you to like look at different pools and see if there's something that's really cool that you like and put it into the organization. I'd be super excited to see that. But aside from that, so that's the content that we could come up with, things that we could think of for the org to show, things that they could do. Is there any questions about any of those topics that I went over? Was there anything that I said where you weren't quite certain how you would do anything like that, or you weren't quite certain what I was talking about there? It's okay. I'm happy to explain anything.
You can take a sec too, because we hit you with
Yeah, that was.
So you're talking about like chemical orders and a chemical check
Yeah.
log. I'm not sure what chemical other than chlorine is like commonly used to maintain a pool.
So there is alkaline, there is bromine is another very common one. There is, they're called indicator chemicals. So it's the chemicals that you use to take the reading. But most of it is chlorine is the main thing. But other things that you're looking at is the pH of the water, and you're looking at the you're going to look at pH, you're going to look at hardness, you're going to look at alkalinity, you're going to look at the chlorine content, and to do all of those, you need a various number of chemicals in order to take those readings. But the main treatment chemical is chlorine and bromine.
This is an
Looks
off-topic
like-
question,
Mhm.
but does pool water actually turn blue when people pee in it?
It
I'm kind of a
doesn't,
germaphobe, so I don't like know about that because I try to like not get in public pools. So I've always wondered about that.
It doesn't.
It looks like-
doesn't do that.
Okay.
Jared, is it relatively standard regarding what kind of testing needs to occur? So, like, would you think they would be able to easily Google, what do I need to do for like pool water testing and get a relatively standard for?
Yeah, I mean, there's like your standard Leslie test, like the Leslie Pools test. It's called the Taylor test, but that test is crap. So I will be more than happy to give you a more thorough, detailed test. But if you just want to go with the standard Taylor test, I don't really care. At that point, it's up to you guys.
The other question that I was a little bit curious about, you mentioned tracking a child's progress. Like
Yeah.
what are some things that I guess like an instructor should pay attention to in that
Right.
regard?
So in terms of skills, typically when you teach a child how to swim, there are a number of skills that you'd like to see that they're able to accomplish before they move on to the next tier of difficulty. So in the very beginner classes, the one-on-one classes, you'd be looking things at trying to get them to float, trying to get them to float on their back, float on their front, trying to get them to paddle in the water, trying to get them to kick with straight legs. You want them to be able to hold their breath, blow bubbles, things like that. And this is all with assistance. And then with the 2-1 class, you could start removing the assistance. So the same skills, just without assistance. So, and then in 3-1, you compound more skills, 4-1 more skills. So when you're tracking those skills, you want to see, okay, can they perform the skill? Correct. You can check it off then. And then you can, this is optional if you want to go above and beyond. At the base level, you can just say, the instructor decides, okay, my kid can do these skills, so we're going to check it off, all done. But if you want to go above and beyond, you can have some further checking. So you can have the instructor, they can make 2 checks, and then the supervisor comes and whenever a child has 2 checks on a skill, the supervisor comes and makes the final check. And if the supervisor gives the okay for the final check, then the skill is complete and checked off. And then only the final check would probably display for the parents at home, but internally we would see like all 3 checks. But again, that's optional. The easiest way is instructor just makes a check and then you move forward from there. And again, I can give you a list of skills per level if you'd like that, or you can just make up your own. doesn't really matter.
For your organization, you guys are planning on having just one location, right? It's just one singular aquatic center.
That's correct.
So do you have a swim league team that you created and a team name or something like that that you want, particularly if you wanted to create some sort of swim team for your aquatic center?
So nothing with the league is implemented as of right now. Let me actually list off the ones where nothing is implemented at this point in time. So summer camp, nothing is implemented there. Anything to do with chemicals and equipment, nothing is implemented there. The skills checklist is not there, but the skill levels are there. There is no staffing schedule as of right now. And there is no swim league stats, but the meeting times are there. So most of those ending pages would need some sort of declarative customization. I don't foresee it being anything too complicated declaratively. And then again, the accounts page, everything is already set up with that. So you would just need to go in and create the page. So that would definitely be the easiest one to do.
Yeah, and the nice thing as well is that you're not necessarily having to draw from actual data regarding something like the swim league, and then have that accurately update itself. That could be a relatively static situation.
Yeah.
You're creating you're manufacturing data for that. It's not like, oh, this changes every day due to daily meets, and we really need to make sure that our current entries are up in there.
And again, I gave a lot of things because I'd like you to have options, and I really want to see you guys like succeed. I want to see cool stuff get made. So if there's anything in there that you're just, it's not feeling right, it's not feeling like something that you want to figure out, then just don't do it. There should be plenty of stuff there for you guys to find good things that you can make quality components for.
Okay, last question from me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of data, do you guys happen to have any like mock data CSV files that you happen to utilize throughout your time working on your project at all? Like for just like a record of like classes that are just like, we're trying to like just display or anything like that.
So mock data, no, but what I can do is that there's a lot of data in the org itself. So we can export that data and send it to you guys.
Yeah, that would be great, actually. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, so that goes over the features. If we don't have any more questions, then we can roll reversal, flip it over to us.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Okay.
I don't have any more questions. Do you guys have any more questions?
Not right now.
Right, excellent.
All right, if we're going to switch roles, do you have any questions right off the bat for us in just looking at the org?
Yeah, so the main thing is what we've loaded up your project files, and when we're trying to push it to the org, it's saying that we're missing a metadata type definition for custom objects.
Which ones in particular are those?
It just says missing metadata type definition and registry for ID custom objects. So let me, because we noticed that there's no pushing and pulling of custom objects in the manifest.
Yeah, I noticed that in the manifest, like I downloaded it and it wasn't there, even though I know it was there before. So I think you might just have to add it again.
Yeah,
I don't know, somehow it must have gotten overwritten when we were pushing and pulling. Like you could try adding that again because I just recently checked and I noticed that that in the manifest or package.xml file, that little bit where you have like the asterisk and types, then
right.
it wasn't there. So maybe you could try adding
Yeah.
that.
So when I tried to add that to the manifest, that's when I got the error. So let me, I can cross-reference, double check what we have in ours, but I think that there's actually supposed to be a custom objects folder.
I guess we'll have to troubleshoot that
This
then.
end.
Yeah, I could try deploying it again into a fresh org. I wasn't running into those issues. I'm trying to open up mine again to see.
Because there are quite a few objects in the list. It's looking like you pulled every object, every standard object, which is interesting.
Yeah, we did and accidentally pull all these standard objects, but luckily all the custom ones are denoted by __C, so you could easily
Yeah.
sort of point those out, or if anything, just mass delete all the standard ones. But you are probably going to end up needing account and contact. I believe those
Yeah, I think
are
there's
changed up.
there's some customization to a couple of the standard objects. Account and contact, I think, are the only ones.
Yeah, I'm looking here. But we can give you a list of all the custom objects that we have, and we can also send you over the ERD. I actually have the link to that really quick right here, because that might be a little bit useful to reference. Well,
So I know Fong is very interested in how your objects are laid out.
There, you can have that. Let me know if that link works.
And then regarding questions that we had for you, I actually thought we might try and structure this around us being able to. We rewatched your presentation as well as took a look through the code. Very impressive on both fronts, but we'd like to see like you guys had a particularly robust list of things that you'd already like to see implemented in the presentation, or future things that you would like us to see